Writer's block either makes or breaks a writer. For the people that it makes, also tries breaking them, right? I mean, and for the people it breaks, those are the writers that have given up in the process of writing and tried a new hobby, a new career path. But today, we're going over writer's block and how to deal with it. And I promise you at the end of this video, you will have a higher probability of getting over this treacherous task in creative writing that we call writer's block. Let's begin. Hello, friends. Whether you come from comment sections to emails to recommendation pages. Hello. My name is Ryan, the author, and this is The Path in the Pen. Whether it's your first time here, you're a reoccurring character in this narrative I like calling my community. It's a pleasure to see you all. I can't stress that enough. Let's begin. So writer's block is basically the feeling of in stasis, in a sense, of being able not to think correctly, not having enough motivation sometimes. It can be burnt out. It can be looking for the right sentence idea. It's a lot of things that just make you not want to write to write. I mean, writing seems tedious. It seems draining. And here's the most simple fix in a way, and it may help you, but if not, then watch the rest of the video. It's just start writing. Because we tell ourselves it's going to be difficult, and this has happened to me many times when I thought I had writer's block. But no, you just have to write for 10 minutes and it wears off, right? I mean, it's like that feeling whenever you don't want to go right? I mean, it seems like it's so treacherous until you start writing and then you realize it's nothing. But obviously there's different things. There's like staring at the screen and like I said, in like a stasis type feeling where you're staring at the screen trying to get maybe a story idea for a scene you haven't plotted out yet. But now you're at that moment that you haven't plotted out it yet, and you're confused and you're trying to find it, or maybe you're trying to find the right wording, the right sentence, the way to integrate your prose in how you want the reader to feel. Maybe it's that. And the best case scenario I can tell you this is just don't overthink it. Sometimes you just have to go with the idea that pops up in your head first, second, or third, right? I mean, there's not going to be the perfect idea, and Brandon Sanderson has said this on many occasions that it doesn't matter what type of idea you have, it just matters on the execution. You can have a terrible story idea, but if Tolkien writes that story, you're going to read it, right? I mean, if he was still with us, obviously. But you get what I mean? Great writers can make great stories out of a story that has a terrible plot, terrible characters, because great writers make sure that that scene, that plot point, that sentence can always improve into a way that is best-selling material and world-reading material, if you get what I mean. But basically, also for ideas, or for just ideas and sentences or whatever, think about it like this. It's like the only thing I allow myself to procrastinate, in a sense, it's not really procrastinating, is to put the idea off, in a sense, right? Because whenever you put the idea off, the idea is then going to sprout and grow as you go and move with your story and as you improve with the writer, especially if it's your first novel. Because you're going to go from, let's be honest here, terrible writing in your first draft to, by the end of your second or third draft, if you do it correctly, you'll be a pretty decent writer. And you'll be able to go back to that scene or that sentence specifically or paragraph and edit it to a point that is very good, and that you're able to, what would normally take 10 edits whenever you first started, now only takes 1, because of the knowledge that you have from writing yourself, and also, like I said, researching, reading, all that all helps in this writing process more than you think. Now we're going to burnt out. And burnt out, I feel, is something I've dealt with so many times. I remember working my butt off, and then it's like the most common one I've gotten. The most common type of writer's block I've gotten is just burnout. Getting burnout. Creative burnout. You just don't want to get up. It just, writing seems so tedious, and basically, I love my story, right? But my subconscious is telling you, and maybe but definitely it's telling me whenever I'm writing that this story is kind of boring. So you have to rewire your brain a little bit. You have to look back and read back what you wrote, whether it only be a chapter long in your first draft, and then, or maybe it's just your entire book, your entire first draft if you're on your second draft, right? Reread it. Don't look for the mistakes. It's like going in a movie theater or reading a book with bad expectations already. You're going to think the movie or the book's going to be terrible because you're only looking for the bad. You can't be pessimistic sometimes with your work, only in certain scenarios, like editing sometimes. But still, you have to be optimistic and realize that sometimes whenever you overgo your boundaries, it can actually make the story worse because you try too much. And anyway, back to burnout. Just reread your story, fall in love with it again, realize that your story's not boring, and I don't care how bad your writing is. I don't care if you've only gotten a chapter done, only gotten a quarter of your first draft done. Reread it. Every single writer is at least starts good at something, but they don't realize it yet. So be confident in your own work, and confidence is really key for being consistent in writing and being able to go over humps that would, for normal writers that don't have confidence, it would give them writer's block. But for you, if you have confidence, sometimes writer's block just peels away. All right, it's like a banana peel. You just throw it back, and you never go backwards. If you go backwards, then you might slip on the banana peel. Bad metaphor, but whatever. I like Mario Kart. Okay. Just here's the thing. If you're going to say you have writer's block, I want to make sure that you're not having the excuse writer's block. And we'll get to another type of writer's block that's actual writer's block after this. But excuse writer's block is whenever you haven't done anything and you just don't want to write. I mean, that's what people call writer's block. You haven't wrote in a bit, right? You took a break, and it's just easy to procrastinate. But I'm here to tell you, if that's you, I'm not assuming, I'm not saying it is, but look within yourself, and if it is you, realize that we only live one life on this earth. You probably heard that a dozen times. But also, you're being lazy then. I mean, I will admit, it's not like I'm just insulting you, I'm insulting myself. I've been lazy for the past week. I haven't edited any of my second draft. And I should have been done already on my second editing round, my last editing round before I did proofreading and copy editing. But no, I've been lazy. I should have already gone, I think, around, 32 pages worth of editing done in an 8-day break, right? Because I edit around I edit 4 pages a day, right? Whenever I'm working, actually. But no excuses. You just can't give yourself an excuse sometimes. I'm not assuming, of course, would never do that. But you just have to look within yourself, because I don't know your scenario. I don't know anything about your life. It's just you got to be honest with yourself. All right, let's move on. And this is going to be one that I think a commenter said on, right? I mean, it was, they have writer's block because they realize that they can't get to the climax, right? Like, they want to get to the climax of their story, but they realize they've only done one chapter. I don't mean to call you out. I mean, that's perfectly fine. I get the feeling, in a sense. For me, it was the opposite effect. I've already mentioned this in the comments below, that it was the opposite effect for me. For me, it was, I have to work to get a good climax, because you have to understand one thing about stories, whether you're looking for a good conclusion, good introduction, or anything. The prep behind it has to be good. So you might be saying, okay, what's good about, what do you mean prep behind introduction? I mean plotting, what you know about your world, etc. But that can always be refined, right? But if we're looking at the climax or conclusion resolution, then it's really hard to have a good one of those. Like, you can have a killer climax, a killer conclusion, a killer cliffhanger. Absolutely amazing, right? Phenomenal. Wow, yeah, right. But if the reader never gets to that point because the writing you did was rushed to a point, or you never even think of writing to that far because you realize that you have to write 5 more, more than that, 15 more chapters before you get to the climax of your story, and 30 before, 25 before you get to your resolution, etc. And yeah, you just got to realize that you got to write good so your reader stays on the path, and they can get that climax that you were looking for, right? I mean, they get to read the climax of your story, the resolution of your story, the conclusion of your story, and it's able to be heightened to a new degree because of the preparation you put in beforehand, aka your introduction, your middle of your story, all of that stretching to your climax of your story, and then or maybe your resolution, conclusion, whatever. It heightens it to a new degree. It's like putting a multiplier on there, right? Because you can have a killer climax or whatever, but if you hype it up, you foreshadow what's going to happen, in a sense, if it needs foreshadowing. And, you put all these story elements into it. It's building intrigue into the reader's mind where, no, I'm not going to put this book down. But if you rush it or you don't even write it at all, if you don't write it at all, no one's going to read the book, right? I mean, it's never going to be published. And let me just tell you this, you'll end up regretting it, right? I mean, who wouldn't? You're writing a book that's phenomenal. But also because of the fact that you got to realize that, you got to write sometimes. I mean, I feel like that's what human beings do. I mean, we have that indomitable human spirit, right? I mean, but sometimes, especially in more modern days, that seems to die down a little bit. You just have to realize that whenever your time comes to pass, whether it's tomorrow and next week, next year, next decade, next couple of decades, 50, 60, 70 years from now, you gotta have everything planned in a sense that I lived life to the fullest. Yeah, I keep on bringing this up. I made a whole podcast episode on it, on living life, you only live once. But I just can't stress enough the fact that you can't get to a point without doing the work. I mean, that's the most simple thing, but that's how I have to say it to you. If you want to do it, just think. If that still doesn't give you motivation to write and you're stuck in that stasis of waiting, of, dreaming of this climax or resolution or conclusion to your story, but you haven't even gotten close to, you're like a couple chapters away. No, not even a couple chapters. You're like half the book away, right? You've only done a little bit, right? You still have a lot to do. You just got to realize that. Think about how good your story is going to be with a climax whenever you heighten it up and hype it up with everything leading up to it, and how you can make your story even better than you ever imagined just through a little bit of work. And when I mean a little, I mean a lot of work. You're going to have to research a bit. You're going to have to read a bit. You're going to have to write a lot. But that's the human life. I mean, consistency is how you will prevail in the end. And sometimes we just got to wipe off our hands of dust and start writing again. And I think that is something that I try telling myself every single day if I don't have enough motivation. I remember, I think I've said this times before, but I got off my laptop after writing a paragraph in a day I didn't want to do anything. I went to go play games. I don't play that much anymore because it's a bit of a distraction. But then in the middle of playing the game, before I even hop on, I turn it off. I walk back to my chair, my desk, and I start writing again. And then it happens again. I go back on the games. But then I come back again, third time's the charm, and I end up writing like 2,000 words that day, right? I mean, that's not that big of a deal for me. I've had 10,000 word days, but I did that in like the span of 2 hours, which for me is phenomenal, right? I mean, I think the 10,000 word day took me like, I was writing for like 9 hours, but I was having fun. I mean, it was a new story idea that I wasn't working on as my main story idea. Was during when I finished my second draft and was taking a month break before editing. That's what I was doing, was just writing a different story so I could get my mind off it. Here's a bit of a message. It did not help. I was still thinking of my story constantly while writing this other story, but, I had fun, I think you just gotta keep the dust off your hands. we're going to end this video. It's like 15 minutes right now. That's a bit long for this type of video I was trying to make. So let's go into the outro. Hope you enjoy this. I can't stress this enough how much I appreciate when someone comments. Commenting literally makes my day. It makes me realize that people actually watch the video and learn something from it. I know I'm just a teenager, and some of y'all may be adults, and that my advice sometimes, you can't take advice from a teenager. But if you thought the advice was good, then look past my age and use it. I mean, I feel like that's the thing about life, is you got to take every single perspective to heart, no matter how big, no matter how small. And that's how you can learn the most in life. And yeah, I sound like a gosh dang hermit now. I appreciate every single one of the views, likes, comments, updates on their books. You know, like I'm excited for everyone else that, you know, is part of this community where I'm able to interact and learn what they're doing and like what they love writing. And maybe I don't like reading that type of thing, but whenever it's saying it through their perspective, like something like romance, you know, them talking about it, being so passionate about it, that just lights up my day. I mean, think about it. Whenever someone's really passionate about something, you're happy for them, man. And even if you don't like it, yeah, I'll still buy their novels whenever they come out, man. I mean, that's at least what they deserve. They deserve for me to buy their novels whenever they publish them. And they deserve me to read them because they're putting their time and effort to write down a comment. So I have to put a bit more time into everything that I've done. And I really love this community. I really love this platform. I'm going to try getting Instagram and TikTok so I can spread the word more of my book and more of our community and their books. And yeah, I'll notify y'all whenever I get Instagram and TikTok or whatever, and being able to, you know, grow this community even more across platforms. I have problems with this platform, sure. I mean, everyone has some, but I don't like talking about it, so I won't. Thank y'all for everything. Y'all are the best, and I know I've been talking for like 2 minutes on this, and people have already clicked off. Y'all are the best. Stay consistent. Y'all take care. My name is Ryan, the author, and this is Path in the Pen. Have a great rest of your day.